Hey guys, it's Benjamin with Benjamin's Exotics, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my most effective technique that I've ever found to remove a stuck shed off of your own ball python. So this is actually the situation that I found just this afternoon when I came to check on this snake. So this is actually a Mojave spider, male, ball python, and I've known that the snake has been in shed for quite a few days now. I normally feed on Fridays and Tuesdays is basically my backup feeding day. So I went in to check on this animal, and I kind of saw that you guys can see right now, this guy's having a little bit of a problem. So here's the snake, and as you can see, he's been pretty successful. He's gotten most of the shed off, so basically, 80% of his back, all of the belly is fine. He actually did get all of it off the head, although I did a little bit right there on the neck. But basically, we just have a little bit of stuck shed going from maybe, just behind the head to about a fourth of the way down the snake's body. But for the most part, laying in here somewhere, a little bit scattered, not really in any exact place. He did do a pretty good job, and you can see we have little pieces of the shed all over the enclosure. Now, in this scenario, and again, it can be a little bit different depending on how much stuck shed is on the snake and the actual condition the snake is in, but in this situation, I'm actually not even going to soak this snake. Lots of the times in different videos, forums, and stuff like that, you will see it recommended to soak a snake if they're having problems shedding. However, for me at least, there's a few problems with this. Firstly, when we do soak a snake, we don't really want to go over half of the snake's body in terms of the amount of water in the tub, because if we go over halfway up the snake's body, so maybe let's say the water is supposed to be here, if we fill it all the way up, we can actually run a risk of the snake tiring out and drowning. You're going to increase the stress on that snake, and also the snake is not going to be getting its head completely in the water, okay? If you did soak it for a few hours, the really humid environment would help, and it would make sure that all of this is basically loose. But again, in this situation, it's not really needed. And also, like I said, when we take the snake out of its enclosure, I actually want to feed this snake later on today. So if I put this snake and I soak it for a few hours in a tub, not going to be very likely this snake is actually going to eat. So here's all that I've done. The enclosure was not this soaked when I came in. I mean, it's probably been about 10 minutes since I found this problem, and all I've done is I've literally soaked down the entire enclosure, okay? This is like, it could be paper towel or newspaper, whatever you want to use, just like that, and the aspen, this entire thing is just soaked. So I actually have my sprayer right here, and all I'm literally going to do is come in here, and just before I do this little process, is if you find this, and this is your enclosure, soak the entire thing down, okay? Don't, be very generous with this, and literally I want the entire thing to be soaked, especially this. Now the snake is going to go through this, and it might even get the shed off on its own, but again, it's been about 10 or 15 minutes and the snake hasn't seemed to have that much success with doing it. So all I've done is, again, spray down the enclosure so it's soaked. This is going to give roughly the same amount of humidity in terms of the level in the air as you would get in a tub. And what I'll also do is, just before I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do, is come down here and literally just very lightly spray down the entire back of the snake. Again, the snake, you want to kind of have it on a lower setting so the snake isn't like freaking out or anything like that, but kind of just like that. I'm going to go down the body of the snake again, try to keep it on a low setting so we don't kind of scare the snake, and just make sure that the back is really, really damp, okay? Now once I've done that, and we've had this snake kind of in a really wet enclosure for, 10, 15, 20 minutes, even half an hour wouldn't hurt at all. We actually want to look at the kind of quality of the loose skin. And as you guys can see, this is like, this is not hard, this is not dry, this is actually very loose, and I can actually peel it right here, and you can see on the side of the snake's body it's coming off. Now when we go to peel this off, again, a few things we have to keep in mind. You cannot do this with a dry shed, okay? If you do this with a dry shed, imagine it like peeling the dead skin off of a person after you have like a bad sunburn, okay? It's going to hurt, the animal is going to be very stressed out, and I've actually had it, again, in the past. I've done different things, you see people do different things, and lots of the times we can take a snake like this, a very nice ball python, and by doing that, by actually hurting the snake, by pulling off the dry shed, okay, we can actually make this snake be very angry, okay, we'll actually turn around and try to strike you because, again, you're hurting the snake. So we have to make sure that this is very, very wet. I mean, just literally soaked, okay? Now, all we're going to do, again, this guy's a little bit jumpy, a little bit, you know, whatever, because he is a little bit stressed out. All I'm going to do is come right here and just take my finger and just ever so gently pull back on this. And again, I should say right now, never go up this way, okay? The scales move one way, down, from the head to the tail. You never pull up this way when taking the shed off. Always head down. So let's go ahead and take this little guy, and again, you want to do this pretty gently, but as long as you are, you know, working with a shed that is relatively wet. Again, it's only been maybe 10 or 15 minutes since I first sprayed down the enclosure. I can come down just like this and literally just work this off the snake. Okay, it's a little bit hard doing it behind the camera, but kind of just like that. Again, and look at that. Now that we're down here where it's actually been like a little bit more wet, a little bit more exposed to the, you know, water I've sprayed in the enclosure, up there is actually a little bit drier. Once I come down here, you can actually see I'm literally just going to peel this off. I'm putting absolutely no pressure, barely, right here, and look at that shed. Just like that, it came off. No drama, no stress, the snake wasn't flinching, and just like that. Took the shed off, and now we can actually clean out that enclosure and probably feed this snake later again today. Now, one other thing that we can talk about pretty quickly is kind of the method I just showed you versus soaking. Again, at the beginning of this video, I said that we're not going to soak this snake because it's not necessary, it's not really, you know, it's not really appropriate for this situation, and I don't want to add more stress onto this snake's life than it needs to be added. And again, I'm going to actually be feeding this snake later today, and I'm sure it's going to eat, so I don't want to put this snake in a new environment and get it stressed out that way. So when is soaking good? You know, when is soaking a little bit better than this method? Well, here's a few cases. When you do have the entire body of the snake stuck, again, even sometimes you get this belly scales that are stuck, which is a very, very bad shed, okay, that's when it'd be a really good idea to soak, okay, because remember, this kind of shed material is kind of like paper in some ways, where it's actually going to absorb the water or the humidity, whatever you're using to actually fix the problem. It's actually going to absorb all the way through the snake. So if we did have a stuck shed that was all the way from the back, the sides, part of the belly, whatever, it's actually going to absorb on the belly and the sides, and over time, maybe be half an hour, whatever, move up to the snake's back. Okay, now this method is a little bit more effective if you're just working with the back, but if you did have a very bad stuck shed, that is when soaking would be great. And also we have to remember, lots of the times when we are seeing stuck shed, especially on things like rescue animals, okay, ball pythons that maybe just got rescued, normally what I've seen is that it's not just that the snake was in low humidity, the snake is also very dehydrated. So a few hours in a nice, long, warm soak in a container can not only help your snake shed, but rehydrate the snake's scales, rehydrate the snakes, internally. They're actually going to drink that water while they're in there, and as long as they don't go to the bathroom or anything, it's going to be completely fine. But for the most part, from what I've seen in my experience, soaking, unless you're working with like those two cases, isn't really necessary most of the time, okay? Just a nice spray down with some paper that they're actually going to be hiding underneath or moving through, okay? So it's actually getting the full exposure of the snake's body, not just the belly scales or the side scales like you'd get with a soak, is gonna be all you're gonna need. And again, make sure those scales are loose, the stuck shed is loose when you actually go to peel, and just very ever so gently peel it off the back of the snake just like that. You can see. Perfect. We don't have any damaged scales, nothing bad like that. Completely fine, and was a very good fix for the stuck shed on this Spider Mojave ball python. So overall, I hope you guys did enjoy and most importantly benefit from today's video. If you liked today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.